In this video I'm going to be showing you how to add attachments to your documents from Airtable. So here we have a receipt document, which is just going to display details about the order and the order line items. This is coming from our base, which we're already connected to. We have an orders table, which is going to be the primary record for this document. And then we have order line items, which the order is related to. It's related to all three of these items. And these are the images that we're looking to display. This is the template as it stands now, and if we take a look at what's being generated, we'll see that we don't have any images yet. So we have the details about the order line items, but we don't have any of the images yet. So if we switch back to our template, we can see how this is being configured now. We have a section which is being repeated for each order line item. We know that because we can see order line items over here, and that's how we have it configured in the logic editor. But now we want to add each of the attachments. So if we switch back to Airtable, we can inspect the fields that we want to grab, and we'll come into the primary table that we're going to be generating the document from, and we're going to find the order line items array, because that's where the images are attached to. They're attached to the order line items. So we're going to expand that down, and we're going to find the attachment field that contains the images. In our case, it's going to be this images field here. So we can see that this is an array of items in this images field, and we have a property on it which is URL, and that's the URL for the image. Now, since it's a image array, we're going to have to loop over it within our template. So let's get that configured. If we switch back to our template, we're going to want to display it right here next to the description. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a new column next to the description. By cloning this, we'll remove both of these fields in here. So the alignment's a little off. You can see the header is narrower than these two columns here, and we're going to want to line those up so that the price, the quantity, and the amount all get lined up. So the way that we're going to do that is we're going to select the column from the header, and we're going to take note of the width. It's 430. So in the detail row, what we're going to do is we're going to just half each of these. We're going to divide both of these by 2 so that the total equals the width of the parent. So that's going to be 215 and 215. If we confirm, we can see that they are now lined up with a little bit of extra padding. So we'll fix that. That will take care of that. Perfect. Alright, so now let's start adding the images. The way that we're going to do this is, because we have multiple images for each order line item, we're going to want to display them next to each other. So the way that we're going to do that is we're going to add a row within this column so that every time there's a new image, it'll be repeated within the row. So we'll add a row to the column, and then we'll add a column, and this is what's going to be the container for the image element itself. Since it's in a row, it won't grow wider than the column that the parent column that row is in. So it'll always be this width, but if there's multiple images, they will all be contained within this column. So now we want to tell it to loop over each of the images in the images field. So since this field is already being repeated for each order line item, we're within the context of an order line item. So we're going to come into here, and now we just need to tell it that we want to loop over each of the images in the images field. So we're going to add edit logic, and we're going to just put in images in here. And now this column will repeat for each image that is in the images field. And lastly, what we want to do is we want to add the image, and we're not going to upload an image. This is going to be a dynamic image. And if you remember from before, we said that the URL of that image is where the image is stored. So we're going to use the URL variable as a path instead. And now that we're within the column that's being repeated for each image, we're within the context of a single image. So all we need to do is just access that property directly by using double curly brackets and then URL, because that's the variable that we want to access on the image attachment, on the individual image attachment. Then we'll click add image. It's going to be blank because there is no actual URL. This is just a placeholder, and you'll see that again when we add it. So double click to add it in, and there it is. So now our variables have changed a little bit. We have order line items. Within order line items, we have a variable in each order line item called images. And within the images, we have a property on each image called URL. So that's what's being served here into this image element. Now we just want to control the maximum height of this image so it doesn't grow to an outrageous size and blow out the entire document and make it way larger than it needs to be. So we'll set it to 50 pixels. There you go. And now it won't grow beyond that height. Okay, let's confirm that this is actually working by coming back to the Airtable, selecting the record, and generating a document. All right, excellent. Each of our images for each order line item has been added to the row, and it's looking good. Just to review what we did, we added another column to the order line item section. So this is the order line item section that's repeated for each order line item. And then within that column, we added a row to be the container for each of the columns that were going to be repeated for each of the attached images. And then we set the column to repeat for each of the images. Then we added an image element with the URL variable as the path to that image, so that when the document is created, it was going to use the URL of the image in the attachment. If you need any help with this, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out, and I hope this helps. Have a great day. Thank you.